Some days been asked to play emulated games on stream and stuff like that. And generally I try not to because of the Nintendo hammer that may come down upon us all. Just recently, actually in the last couple weeks here, I spoke about Point Crow and his modded attempts to make a Breath of the Wild multiplayer game for The Legend of Zelda. It's something that is that's seen as something great for the community, and the community rallied behind that. And unfortunately, Nintendo took down his videos, or striked a few of them, and buried others of them, and gave him pretty much a cease and desist. Well, in the efforts of like ROMs and emulation for video games, Nintendo struck again, but this was something that was struck again very many years ago. Now, I thought this was a story I may have covered, and unfortunately, I cannot find a video of it. I knew of the story back a few years ago of the one, the only Gary Bowser being sent to jail and getting 40 months in prison for hacking materials from Nintendo and distributing chips for the Super Nintendo in order to play ROM and emulated games. These were things that I saw back in the day, back in those days. Now, games were hacked, they were stolen, they were leaked online, and the source codes were out there. And ROMs and emulation, when it came to video games, was seen as a different medium. It was seen as a preservation of the video game today. And because a lot of the video games don't get redone, the video game prices keep climbing on these old games as collectible items. But now we have more to the story. Nintendo hacker Bowser will be paying Nintendo for the rest of his life. Now, this person, Gary Bowser, he literally leaked everything that he could get his hands on, and he was making, it sounds like he was making a profit off of it, and that's why Nintendo really struck the alarm bells. Based on Gary Bowser's sentence, we likely have to pay Nintendo for the rest of his life. Bowser will soon be released from prison, however, his large sum of money needs to be paid back to Nintendo according to the verdict. Yeah, it was a $4.5 million fine, which was later increased to $10 million. It's a very, very hefty fine that he sought. In 2020, two members of the Team Executor were arrested. Max Luran and Gary Bowser were both part of a worldwide organization which sold chips that allowed users to play pirated games on their consoles. Now, I remember back in the day, I had one of my friends had a Super Nintendo, and he had it was able to plug it into something else. I believe that's what this kind of was, where games could be recorded in this sense. Now, I don't know which these chips were. I assume it's the Super Nintendo, but it probably isn't. It was probably for like the N64 and more future dates like the Wii console. Now, I know the Wii console is easy to jailbreak when they went to strictly software instead of having a hardware component to the software part of the game. It makes the Wii very easy to hack and jailbreak. I actually own a jailbreak Wii, and certain they were able to take that bug out later on down the line. However, when they took that bug out of the Wii, it no longer played Smash Brothers. So there was a trade-off with that. If you have an original console of the Wii, they're worth a little bit more than you think because they are jailbreakable. Third member of Chinese national, which was charged but never arrested because they couldn't extradite him. And so Bowser was charged with 11 felonies, including conspiracy to commit money laundering, conspiracy to circumvent technology measures, and trafficking in circumvention devices. Out of those 11 charges, he pleaded guilty to 2 of them and was sentenced to 40 months in prison, as well as a $4.5 million fine, which was increased to $10 million. At the time, Raymond Duda, the FBI special agent in charge Seattle, said, "Imagine if something you invented was stolen from you and then marketed and sold to customers around the world." Well, this also breathes in the light of inventions. Inventions patents do expire after a certain number of years. The reason for that is because a new invention needs to be actually out there on the market for everyone else. That's why Magic the Gathering in particular, their patent expired in 2014, and now why you see so many more card games popping up. Recently, podcaster Nick Moses sat down and did an interview with Bowser. During the talk, it was revealed that he awaited processing and he'll be released early for good behavior. While imprisoned, he worked in the prison library and started to repay his fine to Nintendo. For now, he managed to pay $175, which was taken out in $25 monthly installments once he finds a new job in his home country of Canada. Nintendo will continue to take 25 to 30% of his salary as per their agreement. Due to this fact, he's probably going to pay it for the rest of his life. Bowser also alleged that he was not the leaders of the organization, but its marketing and PR manager. However, the actual leaders continue to evade authorities. Historically, Nintendo has always dealt with hackers or copyright violators with highly aggressive measures. And this is what we're seeing. I remember a few years ago, there's a ROM site. Like you could go and download ROMs from the site and you could just do it whatever willy-nilly. But Nintendo took issue to it because they had Google AdSense attached to the ROM site and they were making a profit off the ads. So Google shut it down. And I've seen this happen several times with ROMs and emulation. Nintendo is not the kindest when it comes to their IP and their ROMs, and they like to protect it very close to the core. This is where things get really awry. I know recently when Blizzard actually updated a lot of things, they actually took down Rock and Roll Racing ROM that you could download in BattleNet for free for the longest time. One of the most amazing games that came out on the Super Nintendo. Great music, a racing game, and it was fun to upgrade and blow each other up in. But it's not until over the last few years that Nintendo has really started to crack down on ROM sites and ROMs in general getting out there. So this is one of the reasons why I don't generally try to live stream them, because Nintendo at some point may just flick the switch and go nuclear. And that is what we're starting to see a lot more, especially with the Point Crow situation and his modded version of Zelda. Now, ROMs and emulation have been one of those very sticky points in law and copyright. They say you can use a ROM or emulate it on something else other than the system itself. So where these guys really got caught was that they were using the systems to create pirated versions of those games. Now, if you remember seeing the Nintendo or the Super Nintendo, like the 6-in-1 or the 100-in-1 cartridges that you used to be able to buy, those are third party, and those were technically used in some of these cases. Those were never created by Nintendo, and they were third party. They were meant, and they were theft of the IP of the source code of these games. And this is the type of thing that they're cracking down on now. If you ever do have one of those 6-in-1s or one of those 100-in-1 games, those cartridges out there, collectors do pay a premium for them because they are highly sought after still, because they're one of those no things on the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo as well. Anyway, I've been your proud Canadian Phoenix Cinder Shadow. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching this one. I will see you all next time.